recording afterward. My name is Wei Liu from UNDESA. It's my great honor, pleasure to facilitate today's meeting. We have shared the meeting agenda with you in front of you. I don't know if my colleague can put on the agenda also on the chat. Maybe I can do it after this. And also someone can help me to admit the whoever sending into the meeting. I'm glad to acknowledge my colleague, my chief Astra Bonini, and also my colleague from Geneva, Liping Zhang, who will be co-chairing today's meeting and also presenting some key items of today's meeting agenda. The first meeting agenda will be on STI forum. I think many of our colleagues are eager to know what's the latest, what's the most recent development in terms of preparation. I now hand over the microphone to Astra for her update. Astra, the floor is yours, please.
Thank you so much, Wei, and I agree. I'm very happy to see so many people who are able to join today. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, colleagues. We wanted to have this meeting, even though it's a busy time of the year for everyone, so that we could, in January, really be ready to start preparing for the STI Forum, and just to share some updates from the past month or so on that will help us as we plan for the forum. So just in terms of practicalities, for those who don't know, the forum will be held on the 7th and 8th May, and we have reserved conference room 4. So we have dates, we have the venue. We are exploring opportunities, as we have in the past, to have side events also on the 6th of May, on the day before STI Forum, to enable opportunities for different stakeholders to organize side events. And then informally, as has been the case in the past, we would hope to consider it an STI week at the UN. Various different things happening throughout the week related to science, technology, and innovation. So we'll give more updates on those specific calendar opportunities as things become clearer, but maybe in this meeting, just to go over the theme of the forum, co-chair appointment, and some preliminary meetings that we've had with the co-chairs, the 10-member group, and also to open the floor to get your ideas and suggestions from IATT as we move to, and we can move into more concrete working mode in January and February. On the theme, of course, as in previous years, it is very closely aligned with that of the HLPF. And so the theme for the STI Forum is advancing sustainable, inclusive, and evidence-based science and technology solutions and innovations for the 2030 Agenda and its SDGs for leaving no one behind. The themes are always a bit long. It's on the website, which is now up and running for the STI Forum, but it really does put a big focus, and the theme of the HLPF itself puts a focus on science, technology, and innovation. So it's an opportunity this year to really highlight the utility of STI for accelerating SDG progress in the next 5 years. This is also the 10th anniversary of the STI Forum, so it's a bit of a moment in terms of being 5 years from 2030, and this being the 10th STI Forum, and just coming after the Summit of the Future to really bring the focus to STI, and that's what we're hoping to do in this informal STI week. The forum will consider, in particular, the goals that will be under review at the HLPF this year, and those are SDG 3 on health, SDG 5 on gender equality, SDG 8 on economic growth and decent work, SDG 14 on oceans, and SDG 17 on means of implementation and partnerships. So when we look at the program for the forum, we'll try to make sure that the key issues uh, the STI can help to resolve are linked to those goals in different ways. The STI forum is convened, as always, by the president of ECOSOC, Mr. Bob Ray, the ambassador from Canada, and he has now appointed two co-chairs. They are Mr. Omar Halali, the PR of Morocco, and Miss Elena Kalku, the PR of Finland. So we are in able hands in terms of envisioning the STI forum. We did meet, both UNDESA and UNCTAD met with the teams of the co-chairs 2 weeks ago just to discuss the preparations for the forum and let them know about the timeline and some of the general commitments that we need to keep in mind. We tried to highlight that it's the overall political vision, identification of keynote speakers that we would be looking to the co-chairs for guidance on as priorities, and also to identify the date for a member state briefing that would take place in late February or early March. So we started to discuss those, and we are now hoping to hear back from them once their ambassadors have a chance to meet so that we can have some of those overall visions and dates in mind as we start to prepare the particular sessions. Some of the feedback that the co-chairs gave, essentially, they really want to have as inclusive a forum as possible. They really stress the multi-stakeholder nature of the STI forum, that's a big advantage that this forum has, and they want to ensure that the level of inclusivity is high. We did, of course, mention the resource constraints that the Secretariat is facing in terms of being able to travel members from least developed countries and to meet the ambition of inclusivity within the resource constraints. So we will continue to try to generate some sort of support that can help to build a successful forum. They also mentioned that they'd like to bring very tangible actions to the forum, the focus on solutions, and a look at what STI can really bring in terms of real outcomes was important in particular. And also the continuing on the momentum from the Summit of the Future, giving attention to closing STI gaps and attention to capacity building were also brought up in terms of levels of importance. So we anticipate that we will get further guidance within the next couple of weeks and beginning of January from the co-chair teams. The 10-member group of high-level representatives has also met, and Alex will update shortly on the discussions that they're having, but they are really digging into some recommendations on the substantive shape of the forum and some of the key technologies, innovations, and scientific findings that could help to inform the forum. And then, of course, the purpose of this meeting, we're very eager to hear from all IATT members about some of the substantive and strategic areas that we should be considering in the forum this year. Once the zero draft of the program is more or less in place, as in past years, we would then anticipate organizing working groups for each of the forum thematic sessions that would bring together 10 members and IATT members to flush out the guiding questions, to identify speakers, and really create the shape of each of the sessions. The program will probably follow more or less a similar pattern to the past, featuring an opening and a closing session, and then deep dives into thematic sessions linked to the SDGs under review, as well as a ministerial session. And we are also envisioning, and Wei will update on this shortly also, an innovators exhibition with a call for innovations, and then a limited number of special events that have also in the past taken place. We do hope that the forum will be interactive, and we're exploring the use of both in-person and online channels of participation to support the vision of inclusivity. On this, we're seeking guidance from DGACM to see what the latest guidance is on video and hybrid. I know that this has been something that we've tried to do, but it changes in terms of the support from translation and other means in terms of what we can do. And then we will have a call for side events, of course, later in the year, where we will invite all stakeholders to organize side events. Again, we'll look at the availability of rooms and the time restrictions on precisely how we can organize this. I think this in a nutshell is where we are on the preparations for the forum at this point. I might just turn over to Alex and then to Wei to update on the 10-member discussions and the innovators, and then maybe we can take a feedback questions, anything specifically on the STI forum before moving to the next agenda item. So Alex, over to you to update on some of the thinking from the 10 members. Thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me? I know we have had some audio problem after our latest
You're very clear.
After our latest update of Windows. Okay, so I have a few slides. So can you see the slides?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. As a secretary to the 10-member group, I had the pleasure to join their in-person meeting in beautiful Lausanne, as you can see here, back in October. And I'm pleased to present to you just a few of the thematic areas that the group has suggested for the forum and is actually working on ever since. It's almost been 2 months since, so of course they have progressed since then. These proposals focus on high-impact themes that align SDI with the in-focus SDGs, addressing global challenges with actionable solutions. So this meeting was held at EPFL 22 to 23 October, and probably after our next session, we'll also be able to share with you a detailed meeting report. Before I delve into the thematic proposal, let me just remind you of this group, its scope and mandate. Of course, the scope is science, technology, innovation for SDGs and frontier technologies. There's an illustrious group of 10 individuals that were appointed by the Secretary General based on nominations by member states, organized science and engineering communities, and some of you for that matter. And this group is, of course, part of the TFM, but it's very different from some other groups. It's not just an advisory group, but also one that directly engaged with you. And that is the case, especially in the case of the STI Forum, which is one of the key key products that they're working on. Okay, let me delve into this. What happened here? Okay, can you still see it?
Yep.
Okay, wonderful. So here a few thematic proposals. And this is one of the key outcomes of the meeting in Lausanne, a list of suitable thematic areas that could be considered in our STI Forum sessions and special events. This is not the agenda. Let me be very clear about this. And as I said in the beginning, it's been 2 months. So of course the group has been working on this and this has somewhat removed, but it's not a final product yet that I could share. So let me just share what the outcomes of this meeting were. Those sessions would be guided by an overall narrative that the group is currently working on, with an overall theme of scientific breakthroughs for a sustainable, safe, and just future for all, to link human rights and basic needs to global sustainability solutions. That will be similar to the background note on climate and AI last year, but of course we will need some input from the forum co-chairs and from you in all of this going forward. The group further proposed that all sessions might make this link in one way or another and discuss how breakthroughs could be harnessed, especially in sustainability, material science, social science, AI, biotech, space tech, and energy and climate compatible technologies. I personally find this idea compelling as it is much in line with the expanded scope of STI in the Pact for the Future that integrated newly human rights and space tech applications into this UN debate. The table here lists some of these thematic areas and also related 10-member group initiatives. Remember, as I just said, the group also engages, they're trying to do their own partnership initiatives. So all of these thematic areas are based on some ongoing work that may lead to partnerships and outputs of value to member states. So the opening, the 10 members would refer to their narrative, very important thematic area highlighted by almost all of the 10 members was the issue of women at work in STEM. So a little bit more focused that it's on work to make also the link to SDG 8. Access to knowledge for sustainable built environments. As you might know, there's some members that have specific of this group that have specific expertise on building, sustainable building materials, on scenarios of these of the deployment of these materials at grand scale in Africa and beyond. Another continuing thematic area from previous groups is R&D funding for the SDGs, but the idea is really to looking at the full cycle from basic science to startups. Strategic STI roadmaps, and they're looking at specific examples. One of them that was highlighted in the meeting was, how could this be leveraged to help building thriving economies despite leaving fossil fuels underground? And it's not just developing countries beyond. Whether this example or some others, this remains, of course, to be seen. AI for SDGs, there's some AI experts in the group, and here, especially on healthcare and food, some of the members already in the process of putting together a book on some of the key solutions there that their communities are working on, leveraging SDI and especially space tech for oceans health and communities' livelihoods, of course, making the link to SDG 14. Then a very interesting aspect here, AI and democracy, which may be part of a bigger discussion of AI aspects and access to AI, science diplomacy and international cooperation, which of course has been a mainstay of the work of this group. And in the closing session, looking really ahead and making the link to all the existing efforts now to anticipate high impact STI changes. So the key thing here, I think, the takeaway message for us is that here there's lots of expertise and communities that we could build on if we seriously consider some of these suggestions in going forward. Of course, there'll be inputs from the forum co-chairs, from you, and as Astra highlighted, we will build those teams like we've done in the past. There'll be lots of opportunities to work together, but I might encourage you also on some of those initiatives, whether there's an interest from people with expertise among you on these. There are various ways then to get engaged. Personally, I believe that these themes will spark meaningful dialogue at the STI Forum. And let me go further here. I'm almost run out of time here. Thank you very much. I just want to highlight one last bit that might help us in the preparations of an agenda and sessions for the STI Forum. The group, following and also as discussed in the Lausanne meeting, prepared inputs for the FFD preparatory process. There were two parts to them. One is, part two is a narrative that looks at trends, messages, and proposals. And part 1 is a synthesis of all the outcomes of the STI forums since 2016. And I think that's particularly important for our deliberations, as the STI forum has always worked cumulatively. So we built on what we managed to achieve in the previous years. So let me stop here just saying that if you have any questions, of course, this is just skipping the iceberg of the many discussions that the group has had. Please feel free to contact me. I will be very happy to follow up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex, and thank you for sharing. I think it's clear that the 10 members, and if you do read their bios and their profiles, have quite a depth of research and technology experience across many of the areas that are crucial for the SDGs. So we really want to draw on their knowledge and their, let's say, willingness to dig in and be involved in the STI forum preparations and commit their time. Wei, maybe over to you just for a quick update on the search for innovators that has been ongoing that will help to fill in the forum.
Thank you so much. Just follow up from previous update regarding to STI forum. One of the highlight in the past years of STI forum was bringing the young innovators to the 2 days meeting in front of all the audience, also the policymakers, and it was very well received. So this year we are going to continue this initiative together with external partner called Engineering for Change. They were supporting the past year's search for innovators, and they will continue to support us on in-kind support without any fees. So it's very nice to do that. Essentially, this year, unlike previous year, we will launch a fresh call for innovations through the platform of Engineering for Change. Of course, this announcement will be featured on the STI forum's website, and the call will be shortly launched. And we are expecting to launch it before the Christmas holidays and so on. So what we will do is, once it's available publicly, we will circulate to all IATT members. You may have it in your mailbox before holidays, but we may send you a reminder right after the holidays, after New Year. So even though it's buried into your emails, quite likely we will send you another reminder about this call for innovation after the New Year's. The timeline is basically we have to push it because all these selection processes and also reviewing processes at the time will engage with the 10-member group, for example, which will take quite a bit of time. And after all these things settled, the travel and admin processes also required before the STI forum. So that's why we count back. We need to close the call, close the submission by end of the January. This is why we need to have put out this call for innovation before the holidays. But with understanding that you may help us after you come back from the holidays, help us to circulate the call for innovation to your network, to your communities. Ideally, those are outside the UN. Engineering communities, science communities, universities, and so on, to spread the word out. Of course, Engineering for Change will do a heavy lifting to reach out, since they have run this search in the past years. So we will build on their expertise and experience on that. So stay tuned on this, and it will be an excitement journey to bring the fresh knowledge and idea from from technologists, innovators, and practitioners on the ground to bring the technology solutions to the forum. So one key challenge I have to say from DESA side, we need to mobilize some funding to to travel those, especially those are coming from developing countries, the innovators. It's ongoing, so we are hopeful to secure the funding, but nothing confirmed yet so far. So we'll give you update once the things are getting clearer. So this is all I can say for now. Astra, I go back to you to conclude this part of the briefing on STI forum.
Thank you so much, Wei. And again, it is a nice if we can bring innovators where they can showcase the innovations that they have, and the call will request innovations that are linked to those areas that are under review at the HLPF and the STI forum. So looking for innovations in health and in oceans protection and others. And we're hopeful that there will be some exciting innovations to show at the forum. Just maybe quickly, and Alex, you can jump in if I miss any details. There aren't a lot of details, but there will also be a call for policy briefs that we've had in the past linked to the STI forum. So that will also be going out soon. This is more targeted toward the research and academic community to put forward short policy briefs looking at emerging technologies and particular challenges. And that call will also be issued soon, and we'll circulate that to all of you. Alex, did you want to give any specific update on that one?
You put it perfectly. I just would like to add that these are, as in previous years, contributions on your based on your individual expert capacity. So these are not institutional contributions. So all of you in the ITT should feel free to develop such briefs and submit them. Of course, they will be peer reviewed. So there's no guarantee that in the end will be selected, but I've seen very high quality contributions from some of you in the past, and I hope going forward we'll do the same. I think it's a good opportunity to write about those issues that you usually might not, that are not necessarily the mainstay of an institutional policy or so, but that might nevertheless be a very new trend, new emerging issue in science, broadly in the scope of STI for the SDGs that you find interesting that people should hear about. Of course, this call, last point, will not only look at these emerging science and technology issues, but also specifically on those in focus SDGs. I think we will make a stronger focus on those SDGs than a few years ago when it was always very broad.
Thank you, Alex. And so you'll be hearing from our team for a number of updates soon on many of these, but just now it would be good to open the floor and hear from you. It's been a lot of information, I think, coming from our side, but if there are questions about the whether substantively or the planning or timeline on the STI forum, then we're happy to respond now. If you think of things, of course, in the coming weeks, please also just reach out, send a message, and we'll try to get back with the answers and additional information. But please just raise your hand, and you could take the floor with any immediate reactions or responses. So nothing immediately. So Wei, maybe I'll turn it back over to you. Of course, if you think of things or want to put something in the chat as we move through the meeting, please feel free to do so. And I I'm
There's
just
one-
noticing.
Yeah.
I want to apologize also about the mic. This is the same thing that Alex brought up earlier.
Yeah.
We're having a lot of problems with our technology right now with the microphone. So if you haven't been able to hear well, my apologies. And we will be sharing a lot of this information in written format as well. So you'll still have those updates. But it looks like there is maybe one question from Derek.
Yeah, thanks, Astra. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. Very exciting things coming up in 2025. I'm from WHO. I head our digital health and innovation program. We've been participating in the STI process, and thanks, Wei, for inviting us into this meeting. Two quick questions. So the May meeting, side events, we're very interested to stage a side event. Just wanted to find out if there will be simultaneous interpretation in the side event rooms and if there will be potential for virtual participation. Just those two items. Thank you.
Definitely on the virtual participation, yes, there can be fully virtual side events. The question of hybrid, I'm not certain, and this is something that we're following up with different offices to find out what the technical restrictions are. On the interpretation, I don't believe so, unless that was something that you wanted to secure and provide for the side event, but it will not be provided as part of the side event application process.
So maybe I can take from here, Astra.
Yes, go ahead. Over to you, Wei.
For
Thank you.
colleagues, thank you, Astra. For colleagues who has a question, even later on, you can either post your comments and question in the chat or just raise your virtual hand so that we can acknowledge that. So we take half hour to do this, and I think it's very well deserved because the one of the key mandate for the excuse me for the group, for this task team, is to organize the SDF forum. So this is important for us. The next agenda item is on the update about our sister conference in Geneva, CSDD. I have an honor to invite a colleague from UNCTAD Geneva office, Li Ping. She's representing UNCTAD office to update about the preparation for the CSDD. Over to you, Li Ping.
Thank you, Wei. I will be very brief because we are still working on the program and we are still identifying the speakers. But I would like to share with you the structure of our CSDD annual session, which is the 28th annual session. So basically, we will have a 1 week meeting, but the almost two full days will be devoted to negotiations, informal negotiations. So the substantive discussions will be held in the 3 days. We are going to devote 1 full day to the WSIS plus 20 review. As we are aware, the General Assembly is going to review the 20 years implementation of WSIS outcomes in 2025, which is next year. And CSD is asked to do its review first. And we are going to present a report on the WSIS plus 20 for discussion at the CSDD. We have gathered inputs from the WSIS stakeholders through various means, an online open questionnaire, and then also we organized regional consultations on 5 different continents. And we have also asked the WSIS action line facilitators for inputs. In addition, we have also asked the member states to share their ideas about the role of WSIS in the GDC implementation and the role of CSDD based or building upon its review role in the WSIS process. So there are quite a lot of information for us to incorporate in the report. And so that's why we are going to devote 1 full day, which will be the 9th of April, to the WSIS plus 20 review. And then on the 7th, which is the starting date of the annual session. We will have our almost half day time for the ministerial roundtable. And the ministerial roundtable is intended to contribute to the discussions of the HLPF, the high-level political forum to review the SDGs implementation. So we're going to look at the role of STI in contributing to the 2030 agenda. And then we will have half day to discuss one of the themes, which is to diversify economies in the era of digital advancements. So that will be on the first day's afternoon. Then on the second day, we are going to discuss another theme, which is the technology foresight and technology assessment for development. And on the second day's afternoon, we are going to hear reports from the Secretariat and from the member states that are beneficiaries of the technical cooperation activities of our CSD and UNCTAD. So this is the general structure of the formal discussions. Then we are going to have some side events. The side events will take place before the formal session starts in the morning or in the afternoon. So there will be side events on quantum technology, and then there will be a side event on Vice President 20 organized by a delegation. And then we are going to also have two more side events. We are still discussing the topics for those side events. And the TIR of UNCTAD, which is a flagship of UNCTAD Technology and Innovation report of 2025, is also coming out. And so we are going to hold a launch event during the CSD. It will be on the first day's lunch break. So we are going to launch the TIR 2025. I think these are the main items of the CSD. And of course, we would like to invite all of you to participate, since CSD is a platform to discuss the various impacts of STI on development. And for the STI Forum, we also try to build synergies with the STI Forum. So we would like to invite, as practice, the co-facilitators of STI Forum to speak during our ministerial roundtable. Unfortunately, they'll be in the morning, and so time may be a constraint, but we hope that perhaps the facilitator can come to Geneva to participate. Since this year, we will also have the Vice President 20 review, and also the item on technology foresight and technology assessment, as well as diversify economy through digitalization. I think these are all relevant to the STI Forum's topics. And so we do see a strong linkage between the CSD annual session this year and the STI Forum. Of course, in the past, we also have strong linkage, but I think this year it's stronger. So we hope that even our colleagues from the STI Forum, like Wei or Astra or Alex, you're also welcome to come to Geneva to participate in our discussions. And because your meeting of STI Forum is going to take place in May, and our meeting will be 7 to 11th April. Basically, it's 7th, 8th, and 9th, because 10th and 11th will be devoted to negotiations among delegates on the two resolutions. And some of the colleagues may be interested to hear what we are going to do with the working group on data governance, since this is a mandate from the GDC, which requires CSD to set up a working group to discuss digital governance, data governance at all levels. And so we are still working on composition of the working group. And the working group will not become an item of the 20th CSDD, but we hope that at that time, when the CSDD convenes in April, there will be some information to be shared with the member states by this working group. And we hope the first meeting, at least, of the working group will be able to be held before April. That's all from me, if I haven't missed anything.
Thank you very much, Li-Ping, for very comprehensive update about CSTD. So from STI forum side, on the website, we actually also have a tab which lists all the important upcoming meetings related to STI forum. So one of them is CSTD. So also colleagues can easily locate it also through the STI forum site to your meeting place. I didn't see any hands raised regarding to your update, and we are also running out of time so far. So we still have quite a few items. As I said, colleagues still can come back if you have any questions regarding to STF forum, CSDD. Feel free to raise your questions in the chat or even raise your hand. Okay, so next agenda. Okay, I saw one hand.
Hi, Wei. It's Rivka
Hi.
from ITU.
Yes, so nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. My third iteration now at ITU. Hi, Li-Ping, thank you so much for that very detailed briefing. I have a very quick question. I may have missed it when you were speaking. You mentioned the side event on WSIS Plus 20 review. You said organized, I think I heard organized by a delegation. Is that, do you know, could you share who that's organized by?
Switzerland.
Switzerland. Okay, great.
Ofcom.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you so
And
much
I'll
for the
turn off my
question.
camera.
Okay, so the next agenda item, actually, please stay on ITU colleagues. Is we're expecting you and also colleague from OSAT to update the ITT group about the pack of the future, the follow-ups. So I have you with us, Rafi, and also a colleague from OSAT. If I'm not, I couldn't see you on my first screen. Filippo, are you there?
Hi, Wei. I'm here. I hope
Okay,
you can
great.
hear me.
Yes,
Good
I
to
can
see
hear
you.
you. So nice to see you. Okay, so thanks so much. I understand you are not in New York. You are in COPS, not COPS, IGF, right? But anyway, I appreciate you coming and attending the meeting. So from our ITT group, we heard indirectly from various sources about the pack of the future, and DESA and UNCTAD colleagues have received some queries about this. So you can see that there is an interest from this group to hear a bit more directly from you, since you directly engaging the discussions and also follow up. So we're eager to hear you and see how IATT can be engaged. And I hand over to Filippo, if you don't mind to just take the floor first, and then colleague Rafi to take on from there. Filippo, please.
Fantastic. Thanks, Wei. Hi, everyone from good afternoon, good morning, good evening from Riyadh, where the Internet Governance Forum is going on. We heard the 10th anniversary of the STI, the upcoming 20th anniversary of WSIS with the WSIS review. Now we're talking about something that is very new, that is the Pact for the Future and the Global Digital Compact. And here's the update on what the Working Group on Digital Technology is, and Rivka from ITU will be part of this relay and will give the latest on where we stand. The Pact for the Future, as you all know, was approved by world leaders on the 22nd of September, and the message from the Secretary General was very clear. We need now to prioritize implementation. We need to prioritize implementation. We need to do it quick. The Secretary General convened a steering committee, and I understand that we'll also hear from other colleagues on different part of these 6 working groups that will be reporting to the steering committee chaired by the Secretary General to implement the Pact for the Future. The working group that we are talking about, and working group might be misleading because we are talking about a meeting at the principal level. So it is called working group, but it is at the principal level, and it is reporting directly to the steering committee of the Secretary General. The working group on digital technology has been tasked that is led by ITU and by OSET, that is the Office of the Envoy on Technology, has been tasked with leading on the implementation of Chapter 3 of the Pact, that is Science, Technology and Innovation, and on the Global Digital Compact, that is an annex of the Pact. So what is working group and what does it do? And Rivka will say more about the terms of reference that are currently being developed. The main idea is that it will be a forum that will be at the principal level, and also we have a convening at the working level already. We met a couple of times. Most of the colleagues in this call are or your fellow people in the different entities and agency are already part. That is open for participation for all UN entities that are working on STI, on science, technology, innovation, and on digital. The idea is to convene and enable information sharing. For instance, we heard a similar update to the one that Liping just provided on CSTD just last week at the last meeting, and drive the development, the implementation of the GDC and prioritize accordingly. This means, for instance, that one of the first tasks that this working group will be taking on board will be the development of the global, of the implementation map of the Global Digital Compact, and of course, promote UN system coherence, accountability, and results. We need to keep ourselves accountable on how we deliver on the Global Digital Compact. There will be an extra layer, so to say, to this working group, that is the follow-up across the relevant objectives of the Global Digital Compact and of Chapter 3 will be further enabled via subgroups. We still have to land on a name that is nicer than subgroups that will be convened by the relevant and interested agencies on the different topics. For instance, on Chapter 3, there will be self-organized by the lead entities, and I understand that DESA and this group will have a role to play there. For those of you, and I will hand it over to Rivka, they are not familiar, or maybe they don't have the text at hand of the Global Digital Compact. Maybe for you, I'll be very quick to see how these overlaps with your line of work and with the topics you're working on. The first objective is on closing digital divides. So you have connectivity, you have digital public infrastructure. You might assume that ITU and UNDP will be natural lead for this one. On the second one, objective 2 is on building an inclusive digital economy with UNCTAD and UNIDO having a prominent role. Subgroup 3 is very broad, is open, safe, and secure digital space. This means disinformation, misinformation, digital trust and safety, human rights, and you would have the Office of the High Commissioner, of course, for the human rights dimension, and UNESCO for the information integrity part. Subgroup 4, it's on data governance, and there you just heard from Liping on CSTD. And finally, you have objective 5, the one that has been discussed the most, at least outside of the UN walls, that is the one on artificial intelligence, and you will have ITU again, UNESCO, and the Office of the Tech Envoy playing a role there. I dragged this conversation even too long. We are running late. Rivka, please, with the latest update.
Thanks so much, Filippo. You've covered most of the stuff, so I'll just give like what's been happening. So the group has met 3 times already, once at principal level and twice at technical level. Our first task given by the executive office of the SG was to develop a terms of reference and a work plan. So those are ongoing. The members of the group have that with them. They have until the 23rd of December to provide feedback. So I know a lot of you are involved. So if you haven't shared your feedback already, please do so. I know we have received some comments. So for those who have provided, thank you very much. And the work plan is under development, and we've received some input, and we will be circulating that shortly. Filippo's covered the bulk of it, so I won't drag on any further. Let me just, so I think we're good. So, but we're here if you have any questions. Back to you, Wei.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for both of you for the update. I haven't seen any virtual hand or any questions in the chat. I saw Mata. Over to you,
Thank
Mata.
you. Good morning, good afternoon, colleagues. I'm Marta Kadi from the Joint SG Fund. I was wondering with regard to this update on the Summit of the Future, whether there's like any insights on not only on how the UN agencies are carrying forward and organizing themselves around the pact, but also what's the member states positioning or championing of some of the issues, for instance, in the lead up, obviously, during the negotiation process, champions of different parts of the pact, and wonder whether there's any insights on how member states are engaging in the follow-up and what sort of who is leading on the issue and so on.
Thank you,
I mean,
Mata.
maybe I can.
Go ahead, please.
Sorry,
Yeah.
go away. Do you want to go ahead? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe I can briefly comment here. Sorry, I'm in a hotel lobby. It's cleaning. So the working groups have been tasked to mainly follow up on implementation on actions that have been allocated specifically to the UN, the Secretary General and the UN system. However, we're also tasked with supporting member states on implementing action items that have been assigned to them. Because as you know, the bulk of the action items for implementation by member states. So at least I can speak from our working group perspective, as part of our work plan, we definitely want to keep track of those action items where it's very clear that member states will be requiring some support. So concretely, I don't know what that is as yet, but it's definitely something that's on our radar that we need to provide the support and the systems for that to happen. But what they're concretely doing right now, I can't say. And yeah. I don't even know if that answers your question, Marta.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's quite important to also understand the leading member states on different tracks of work. So I understand it's still evolving and so on. So on chapter 3, we heard from Filippo regarding this that part of the pack. The STF forum is one of the key element, and clearly these two co-chairs of the forum will be naturally natural candidate for leading this work. This is my understanding, not representing anyone else, but it's my own understanding. But we work very closely, as later we can discuss a bit more. The IATT working group are working very closely with member state. One example is on STI roadmaps. We actually have some countries doing the roadmaps. So we can talk a bit more on that later, but I didn't see any other colleagues raise hand. If no, we can move on to the next agenda item. And thank you so much for the great update about this work, and we're looking forward to the next update. Thank you so much. The next agenda item is on also quite prominent. Is on FFD4. As colleagues understand the history, the TFM, the Technology Facilitation Mechanism, this mandated task team, the network, was created in FFD3. So now it's FFD4. So we are very eager to hear the first-hand information from colleagues facilitating the FFD4. I have a great pleasure to invite colleague Jackie from UNDESA to update us about the FFD4. Over to you, Jackie.
Thank you very much, Wei. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Okay,
I can see
great.
you and hear you well.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Great, fantastic. And thank you for colleagues who spoke before me for all the information. It's very helpful for us as well. And before I go into the update of the FFD4, first, I just want to thank you for many of you who have contributed to the report that we do, which is the Financing for Sustainable Development report. And we got many inputs, very useful inputs from you guys over the years. and also the contribution that many of our colleagues have made to FFD4 preparation process up to this stage. And then so I will give 2 updates in 2 dimensions. First is the process, and then second is the substance. So the process is that, so we are in the middle, I would say, of the FFD4 preparation process. Maybe just a little bit of history. So the FFD4 preparation, the modality is that we have these preparatory committee sessions. The plan is to have no more than 5 of the PrepCom. And then during this PrepCon, we have done in the first one, which happened in July in Addis, which is a start taking of the FFD agenda since FFD3, which is 2015 in Addis. And then we have a multi-stakeholder hearing in October. And this is really a place for civil societies, other member states and other stakeholders, including the UN entities, to provide sort of their insights and the proposals they want to put forward for the member state to negotiate in FFD4. And then we just have the second preparatory committee sessions in December, early December. And then in this preparatory committee session, the second one, we have the member state has discussed the elements paper that the co-facilitators of the zero draft of the outcome documents of FFD4 have prepared. And for this elements paper, we also have received great inputs from you guys and also from other stakeholders. And so for each of the action areas of the FFD, which has 7, and STI is one of them, we have got great deal of proposals. And so we, FSDO, the Financing for Sustainable Development Office at DESA, as the secretary, has worked with the COFAX, the co-facilitators, to prepare the elements paper. And then so it was discussed in the second preparatory committee sessions. And then we are now in the process of drafting the seal draft of the outcome document, which will be published in 17th of January, and then it will be negotiated in the third preparatory committee sessions, which will happen in February, early February. And then so we are expecting it to be negotiated in the third PrepCon in February and also in the fourth PrepCon, which will be in end of April, early May. And then depending on the process, there might be a 5th one, but we at this stage, honestly, we don't know what will happen. And so that is the process. And maybe something that will be useful for colleagues here is that for each of this PrepCom, we have opportunities to organize side events. So some of the colleagues here has contributed organizing some of the side events. We expect that continue to have this opportunity to have side events in the future PrepCons, and including in the conference at Spain in July. Another thing that I should mention is that we also have this plan to maybe for stakeholders to announce some initiative at the conference. So this would not go into the outcome document, but this could be something that can happen alongside, parallel to the publication of the outcome document. So maybe I know some of the colleagues here have the initiative at their entities, so that could be opportunity for announcement for this initiative. So that would be my update on the process side. And then substantively, so I mentioned that we have the elements paper and now we are drafting the seal draft. So in the elements paper, in the STI chapter, there's 3 buckets of areas that the COFAX has decided to focus on. The first one is on closing digital divide by investing in digital public infrastructures and digital public goods. And then the second bucket is sort of broad how to leverage STI for SDGs. And here we touch on a few things, and there are 4 main areas under this bucket. First is on technology transfer, capacity building, mainly for developing countries. The second part is on, leveraging STI for SDGs, and here we touch upon STI roadmaps, national innovation systems, competition policies, AI, which is a big topic, and then colleagues before me have spoke about that as well. And then there was part on financing for STI, and here we touch upon strengthening the capacity of TFM and also for the tap bank for the LDCs. And the last part is, this is what is the most relevant, I think, for the group here, is to strengthen the UNTFM. And then under here, there's 4 items. One is to enhance collaboration among the STI forums, CSTD, and other international platforms. Liping has talked about the importance of strengthening synergies between STI forum and CSTD. So I think we are really the COFAX also think is a very important point. So that's that. And then there's a second one, which is specifically for IATT, which is to assess the major obstacles that hamper international diffusion technologies for the SDGs, especially green technologies. So these are the proposals the professor put up. I mean, we don't know how much of this will survive for the process, but this is one thing that is right now at the Elements paper. And then the third one is to mandate the STI Forum to promote digital infrastructure-related knowledge sharing. And then the fourth one is to, under the TFM, establish a global sustainability science center that can drive demonstration projects in agriculture, health, water, and other SDG-related issues. So that is the second bucket. And the third is on fintech. So when we call for inputs from the members and other stakeholders, we don't get too much about fintech, but after we have included in the Elements paper and published it, and then we got very positive impact from the positive feedback from the member states on the importance of looking at fintech. And in this bucket, mostly we're focusing on regulating fintech. Now we recognize there's a lot of positive impact of fintech in financial health and financial inclusion, but there's also a lot of unintended consequences that we need to focus on. So this bucket is really focusing on regulating fintech, creating an enabling environment to develop fintech and other digital financial services. So this is what we have, 3 buckets, the closing gender divide, second, leveraging STI for SDGs, and the third one's on fintech. So I think I'll stop here, and I will be happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Really, really informative and bringing the highlight of the element paper and also the part really related to the STI, to this group. While waiting for colleagues raising hand, just one quick one. As you outlined the process in the lead up to the FFV4 in late June and beginning of July, is it? I think that's the time, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
June 30th to 3rd of July.
Right.
Yeah.
So SAF Forum is, I think, almost 2 months before the actual FFD4, which will be happening in New York. Is there a possibility we can think about to have of course, the call for side event hasn't been launched yet, but to just see if there's a value to have a side events regarding to the FFD4.
Oh, for sure. For sure, yeah.
So this is just put out some ideas and see if colleagues has an interest to think about that, to also lead preparing this kind of work. I think this will be quite useful, especially if we find some champion countries, and that's the IATT can be happy to work with them to have a side event. And then another thing, this time slot, if the situation like last year, then the official time slot for the 2 days of STF Forum for side events only in the lunchtime will be open. So there's just 2 time slots and limit the participation. But as Astra said, we may think about the STI week. In that sense, there's the 2 days before STI Forum and the day after could also be the possibilities. So
no, that's great. That's a great way. And then I should mention that, I mean, right now the tentative date for the 4th PEPCOM will be 30th of April to 1st of May. So it will be just right before the STI Forum. So I mean, timing-wise, there might be some opportunity for us to bring people together. I mean, they will be in New York anyway, so maybe that could be something to think about to have a side event. But we will do hybrid, just like for the other side events in the PrepCom. So we can have both people in New York and also people outside.
Oh, that's great. So I think the hybrid will limit some kind of the constraint on the room availability and all this logistics, so which is nice. Well, can definitely explore that, and we open up for other suggestions from the IATT. Any questions related to FFD4? And thank you so much, Jackie, for really comprehensive and informative briefing about the work on FFD4.
Thank you, Wei.
Thank you. So Yes, we got the thanks. So another question from the chat. Okay, so we move on to the next agenda item, which is everyone talk about the implementation. We want to feature one of the key new member of IATT, the joint SDG fund. They are very recently joining IATT, and we warm welcome them to join this family. And they have been working in this field for a long time, and they are silent hero. So now we want to spotlight them to to highlight. I understand they have a couple of slides to feature their work on as joint SDG fund. So please, Marta, over to you.
Thank you so much, Wei, for this lovely introduction. First of all, yes, I would like to say, as I just mentioned a couple of minutes ago, I represent the Joint SG Fund Secretariat. We have members of the Joint SG Fund Operational Steering Committee also here, Rivka being one. And then also, I have to apologize in advance for giving a presentation that maybe some of you have already heard in other fora as early as yesterday, the UNSDG working group. But I think it's important, since we're joining for the first time, and I'm assuming that maybe, some on this call have not heard about the Joint SG Fund at all. I think it's my pleasure actually to be able to say a few words about how the fund works. Also a little bit about then highlighting the contribution to the STI work. And I understand that this is a discussion that we'll be having in more in-depth form later on when we work more about also the substance of some of the programs that really are illustrate how the implementation at country level, how the fund is helping moving the needle on the application of science, technology, and innovation to our UN Development System programmatic work. So let me see whether I can share my presentation.
Yes, you can see your screen.
Yes, do you see it on slideshow?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So first of all, I mean, the Joint SG Fund is the basic is a multi-partner trust fund, which is a key component of the UN Development System reform that started in 2017 to transform on the delivery of the 2030 agenda. It was then fully activated in 2019 to strengthen the leadership and the convening role of the reformed resident coordinator system. And it supports really the collaboration, the integration across the UN development systems of several entities that are represented in this meeting to provide integrated policy supports to the country level, foster investment strategies, promoting SDG financing solutions, and overall to really advance and accelerate the SDGs. So the goal of the fund is really to deliver better results by changing the way we do development together, right, with the focus on policy, investment, financing, and partnerships. So I would say that, first of all, I want to highlight that innovation, which is a key component of this task force, is really embedded in the design of the fund, in the purpose of the fund, because it is about a different way of working together and also introducing innovative programmatic approaches to the country level. What you see on the slide here is a quote from the funding compact that refers to the Joint SG Fund as a premier innovative funding mechanisms for the SDGs. And you also see a reference to what was discussed just briefly before, the Pact for the Future and the Global Digital Compact as a key mechanism for the fund is referred as a key mechanism for pooled and blended investment and to accelerate digital transformation, to support policy financing connectivities for sustaining impact. The fund was also explicitly mentioned in the SDG Summit political declaration in 2023. And so we are essentially focused on here, as we talk about responding to member states' commitments and demands for change and for acceleration, right? So I wanted to emphasize this policy aspect. I think my slides went all over the place. So here, this slide, if you see, what I'm seeing is like the Joint SG Fund membership. So currently we have 17 member states donor that total 387 million in contributions. We have our governance system is the following. We have a strategic advisory group with the fund 5 largest contributors and 7 program countries members that is chaired by the Deputy Secretary General. We also have we're led by an operational steering committee. Somebody should mute their microphone, sorry. We also have an operational steering committee that is chaired by the director of the Development Coordination Office, Oscar Fernandez Taranco, and who that is responsible, the OSC is responsible for the day-to-day management of the fund, and the member entities that rotate every 2 years are listed here. And then we have a small secretariat of which I am a member. And underneath the operational steering committee that meets at the ESG level, we also have a working group at technical level that meets every other week, where we look really at the concrete and delivery of programs at the country level. So here you can see a little bit also how the fund is, the strategy of the fund from 2023 to 2026 is focused on the SDG transitions that the UN SDG adopted as a framework program to accelerate SDGs at country level through programs anchored in, of course, national development priorities, so very context specific and contextualized depending on the country, but also the cooperation framework. So the key pillars of transformation, meaning the transformative impact of the Joint SG Fund programs, are integration, scale, speed, context specificity, and sustainability. The work focuses, and this needs to be reflected in every joint program, on at least one of the enabling actions that you see here in the slide, and overall, across the different transitions, with a focus right now on digital transformation, energy transitions, food systems, and social protection and decent jobs as a priority, but with climate also being reflected across different programs. And of course, gender, youth, human rights, and leave no one behind as cross-cutting aspects of programmatic work. Sorry, I just went too fast. So I will stop at these slides just to give you an overview of where the current, the new 123 joint programs that were launched in the most recent cohort are spread out by region and by portfolio. I'll be pleased also to share these slides with you eventually, by email. So I'll stop sharing and just say a few words instead on the particular contribution to STI, which again, we can go on much more in depth. And I could share also some of our briefs that feature particular programs and a thematic focus, for instance, on digital. And some colleagues online, of course, are very familiar with this work. They are part of this work. They deliver this work. Again, we're an enabler. We're an instrument for seasoned country teams to really work at country level. So as we know, there is this important chapter of the Pact of the Future on STI, and we have done a little analysis also to see how the fund is already an ideal instrument, and it was discussed with member states, with our donor partners in a meeting that we held recently, to deliver across these priorities, whether it is digital, agricultural, trade, entrepreneurship, climate action, financial inclusions, that are different aspects of our programmatic work that make the fund an ideal tool. It is a contextual, again, support of the use of technology for specific needs of communities and countries. In the digital transformation portfolio, for instance, where we are currently supporting 22 countries with 40 million investments across 10 African, 7 Latin American, and 3 Asian, the Pacific, and 3 Eastern European countries, the focus is on bridging digital divides and enhanced technological access for sustainable development. So digital is a means to accelerating the SDGs. A big focus has been on digital public infrastructure, on e-government services and on data. I'm thinking, for instance, a program in Tanzania that is really facilitating the use of digital technology for smallholder farmers to help agribusiness grow. It's an example of enhancing efficiency, inclusivity, building solutions to scale through technology. In Kenya, we're supporting a program that boosts digital entrepreneurship and upgrades digital hubs, benefiting 2 million hubs user. And this is work that focuses on regulatory shifts, but for an enabling digital environment. In Rwanda, the country team is leveraging digital technology to improve access to resources, new markets, and digital services for entrepreneurs. In Jamaica, we have a program very exciting at the intersection of digitalization, food security and nutrition that will be using a WFP design application to create healthy school meals based on offers from local farmers. So they vary from an impact at the community level with innovation to an impact at the system change level with policy shifts. There are examples in agricultural innovations in Ghana and in Guinea-Bissau. In Guinea-Bissau, for instance, with new techniques to revolutionize rice cultivation. There's a number of interventions on climate and energy across different programs. And there's also examples in the past portfolio. We had a portfolio for SIDS. We have a little, we have a report on our work on SIDS that I could share. And one of the interesting work that I'm sure some colleagues online are familiar with is the work in Samoa, where there was because several entities were involved, interagency collaboration at the UN, on the UN side, but also with institutions with environmental and statistical mandates that worked on using drones and remote sensing technologies to collect, analyze, and manage geospatial data for decision-making and monitoring for the environment. So these are just some of the examples. I don't want to go on and on because it's probably, I'm going to lose everybody online, but looking forward to working with all of you.
Thank you so much, Marta. You won't lose anyone. So you can see the chat, people already asking for sharing the slide, already a strong indicator for the interest from this group. As Marta said, we will plan for in-focused briefing on this particular topic, like OSA colleagues did for the space technologies for SDGs. So we will coordinate, but I think one of the possible time coming up based on Jackie's presentation around third prep time. If there's an opportunity, we can do a 1 hour virtual webinar for this group to have a more in-focused discussion, bringing the RCs, DCOs, and also partners you have been already engaged, Marta, with this group to share some experiences and so on, a bit more deep, in-depth discussion in the early next year. I understand colleague from CDPMO, DESA, I don't know if you're still there. I have to turn on to the next page. Monica, are you there? Yes. Okay. So, okay. You may want to complement something what Marta have just said. Over to you, Monica.
Yes. Thank you, Wei. I'm Monica Nogara from the Capacity Development Office in DESA. I just thought I will, complement in the sense that maybe I could say a few words, introduce a little bit our capacity development program and how that could help, could support actually in the context of implementation, how we could support the role of of this group, the interagency task team, support and strengthen the role of this group on the implementation part. So just not sure whether we need an introduction, but you're very familiar with the work. I assume most of you are familiar with the work of DESA. We are the Secretary Department that is mandated to support the UN Development Pillar, and we support the several intergovernmental processes of the General Assembly, the ECOSOC, on key sustainable development issues, and this includes the different conferences and summits, the upcoming FFD4, the past SIDS4, the SDG summits, we had the last one this year, and then the multi-stakeholder fora like the HLPF, the Financing for Development Forum, and the STI Forum. And DESA provides a bulk of analysis and data to inform the deliberation in this forum, building also on the inputs provided by UN entities. But we're also mandated through our capacity development program, which is a small program, but has an important function because assists member states in implementing the outcomes of these discussions. So building on the normative work that is conducted to support the intergovernmental process or the global discussions, we develop several capacity development methodologies, models, and toolkits, and we work in collaboration with other UN, but also non-UN entities to develop this tool, and that we use to assist member states to translate the global policy frameworks of sustainable development coming out of the global debate into national strategies and plans. So it's very focused exactly on translating all that we discuss here at headquarters and make sure that that is actually implemented as an impact on the ground. And we work in collaboration with the RC colleagues and the RC system and the SDG fund to support country, hopefully, and more in the future, to support the country level implementation. So DESA is in a unique position because it's the secretariat of the STI Forum and also the co-convener of this task team. So can mobilize really an important knowledge base to support from UN and also non-UN STI experts and partners, and can really be really positioned to encourage and develop capacity development initiatives that on STI that can help countries really to harness the potential of the STI to achieve the SDGs. So the SDG for the STI for SDG roadmaps initiative, this is an example of how this could work, so of this approach. And this, in fact, will be implemented, we'll start next year implementing a capacity development project to implement these roadmaps in a few countries, but we need to work with the partners at the country level. And again, SDG Joint Fund, we're very happy that we are starting a collaboration with you on this. So our program then we could have more of these initiatives. We could really help strengthening this approach and strengthening then the role of the IATT task team to put forward initiative of this kind that can translate, so really to focus on translating the outcomes, and many outcomes that were mentioned also earlier by Alex, that are coming out of the discussion from the ISTI forum, and to make sure that we can translate that into, as a system, into actions on the ground. Also, through this network, this could also facilitate, has the opportunity to facilitate in collaboration with our colleagues, our DCO colleague, to bring the expertise from the ground, from the RCs and UNCTs, bringing their perspectives, but also the good practices in leveraging the STI for the SDGs acceleration, and bring this perspective also to the global stage through the STI forum. So just wanted to add this. I know it's out of, at the last minute, but it would be really interesting to know what the colleagues in the task team think of this approach, of this idea. Thank you, Wei, back to you.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Marta. As we said, this is a starting point of our conversation. We're happy to keep engaging colleagues and through the process. I understand that we have only a 4 minutes left, and we actually doing pretty good, Astra. We finished all the items apart from the last one, which is the next meeting date. We put tentatively end of January, but it's nothing fixed yet. If the group decide to make it happen a bit early, we also open for that. Over to you, Astra. Maybe you want to say a few concluding words, and then also see what the date we can meet, and Liping may also come in before we close the meeting. Over to you, Astra, please.
Thank you so much, Wei. And just a thank you to all colleagues for taking the time to join the meeting today. I think we covered a lot of really important and timely topics that are distinct, but all linked to one another and all linked to the work that IATT members are doing to advance STI for implementation of the SDGs. So many exciting updates, and thank you to all colleagues for joining and sharing on the latest work. For the next meeting, we had looked at the end of January. We'll confirm with a few colleagues that this works, and then try to send out an invitation before the holidays so that you can have that on your calendar. And by then we should have more information on the STI forum and can really start working on those sessions. So looking forward to seeing which sessions you're interested in and developing those groups to take the program forward. Nothing more from me, and thank you very much to all colleagues.
Thank you, Astra. Over to you, Liping. You're muted.
Thank you, Wei. I do see the merit of having this type of gathering among IATT members, which provides a very good opportunity for us to hear what the other partners are doing, and that will help us to really create and also build the synergies of our work. So as far as CSE is considered, we provide a platform together with the STI Forum for other partners to contribute your ideas, your insights, and your views. So I repeat my invitation to all of you to come to our CSD in April if you are interested. And if you have any questions, please feel free to pose them to me or to Wei. He can always convey the questions to us. And then I would like to thank all the colleagues that have shared the updates of their work, which sound very interesting and indeed very insightful. Thank you.
Thank you all. With that, I think we can conclude today's meeting. I wish everyone happy holidays and restful holidays with you, friends, your families. We will see you next year, early next year. Bye-bye now.
Happy holiday. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.